I'd like to call the Wednesday, November 7th, 2018 Papillion City Council meeting to order. Ms. Brown, would you please take the roll?
Florence. Here. Mumgard. Here. Gaines. Glover. Here. Jaworski. Here. Klug. Here. Stubbe. Here. Ingberg. Here.
We have a number of scouts with us tonight. I'd like to invite them up to lead us in the pledge. Want to go ahead and come on up? Thanks for coming out and helping. Do we have an affidavit of publication on file?
We do.
And a current copy of the Open Meetings Act is posted in the back of the council chambers. We've got 3 different presentations tonight. First one, Chief Bose. We have 2 firefighters that we're going to swear in, and I think we'll start with Chief telling them a little bit about them, making introductions.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. It's always a great time to come before you with new firefighters. It's an exciting time in their lives as they're starting out on this new career. With the hiring of Chad and Ryan, who I'll introduce in just a moment, this brings us up to our full complement. So we're excited to be at full strength once again. And let me introduce them to you. First off is Chad Hart. Chad comes to us most recently as a service advisor with the Tesla company. So he is... Did I push something? Oh, okay. So Chad has an associate's degree in fire science from Southeast Community College, has experience as a volunteer firefighter in Ashland, and not to put him on the spot at all, oh, I should tell you an interesting little fact about him. He used to swim with the sharks at the Henry Dorley Zoo. One of his jobs in the past was a scuba diver, cleaning out the tanks and that kind of thing.
Yes, sir.
So, not for me at all. So, to put Chad on the spot a little bit, both Chad and Ryan have a pretty large number of family and friends, and I've asked them if they would introduce them because I don't want to try to struggle through all those names. So, Chad, if you could introduce who you have here.
All right, I have my wife Renee, daughter Piper, stepmom Deb, daughter Tatum, mother Terry, son Reed, brother Christopher, my dad Rick, daughter Madison, Aunt Deanna, and my Uncle Rick.
Very good. It's always great when family can make it to an occasion like this because it really is an important night in their careers. So thank you, Chad. Also is Ryan Bosshart. Ryan comes to us as the Streets and Parks Commissioner from the village of Arlington. So we hired him away from Arlington. He also has a fire science degree, associate's degree from Southeast Community College. I didn't ask if they happen to go at the same time. We'll talk about that later on. But he has experience as a volunteer firefighter in Arlington as well. So it's great that we can bring in the experience that they both have. A point of interest on Ryan, pretty interesting. He is a licensed pyrotechnician. So he's a fireworks guy. That's always interesting too. So Ryan, if you would introduce your family and friends.
I have my wife Sarah, my daughter Lacey, my mom Kim, my stepdad Mike, my father George, my stepmom Deb, my sister Jessica, and my brother Rob.
And?
My mother-in-law Ann. Sorry.
Oh, not the mother-in-law. Oh man. He'll hear about that later. So, Mr. Mayor, I present Chad and Ryan to you as our new firefighters.
Go ahead and come on up. We'll take the oath of office. If you'd raise your right hand. I state your name. I state your name.
I, Chad Hart,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Nebraska
and the Constitution of the State of Nebraska
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith
that I will bear true faith
and allegiance to the same
and allegiance to the same,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
and without mental reservation
and without mental reservation
or for purpose of evasion,
or for purpose of evasion,
and that I will faithfully and impartially
and I will faithfully and impartially
perform the duties of a firefighter
perform the duties of a firefighter
according to law and the best of my ability.
according to law and the best of my ability.
And I do further swear
And I do further swear
that I do not advocate
that I do not advocate
or am a member of
or am I a member of
any political party or organization
any political party or organization
that advocates the overthrow of the government
that advocates the overthrow of the government
of the United States
of the United States
or of this state
or of this state
by force or violence,
by force or violence,
and that during such time
and that during such time
as I am in this position,
as I am in this position,
I will not advocate
I will not advocate
nor become a member of
nor become a member of
any political party or organization
any political party or organization
that advocates the overthrow
that advocates the overthrow
of the government of the United States
of the United States
or of this state
or of this state
by force or violence.
by force or violence.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Welcome to the city. We have two other awards. One, Mark, do you want to come up? We received, we've talked about this a little bit before, but we've got the actual award, Voice of the People Award. And if people are not aware, this is actually a national award we received from the National Research Center. And they just recently, last month, recognized the city of Papillion, and it's the Voice of the People Award of Excellence for Built Environment. And it's based on the National Citizen Survey we did. And if people, just a reminder for the residents that are watching this, I think it was about 8 years ago we did a National Citizen Survey, and we did a scientific survey of the community to figure out what they thought about a lot of things. And it was an excellent survey. It showed that there's a high level of trust in the community of the government and what we're doing. People appreciated what was going on. The ones that didn't appreciate, they were evenly split between you're growing too fast, you're growing too slow. So it was a pretty good balance of what's going on. Appreciate the value they get for the services they pay. The quality of the services were good. But we didn't want to take that for granted, and we redid that survey this last year. And for the most part, the results came about the same. There was some concerns on growing too fast and do we lose sense of community, but then they'd recognize what we're doing at the community center downtown to overcome some of that. So the context was really good. But when the National Citizen Survey is done, there's other communities around the nation that are doing that same survey. And the National Research Center actually then does some diving into the data of all of the surveys nationwide, and they kind of look for the communities that are an anomaly in a good way. And Papillion actually stood out, and our residents reported some of the highest ratings for built environment compared to other cities around the nation. And the survey questions that they kind of dive into when they're talking about a built environment are the quality of new development, housing options, public places, land use, and code enforcement, and some others, but those are the highlights. And so it's a true team effort between planning, engineering, legal, building, administration that does all of that work. But Mark, kind of on behalf of the entire team, one, I want to present you the award on behalf of all the employees for the Voice of the People Award for Excellence in Built Environment. And as the planning director, would you share a few words? And if you are in one of those departments, I know we'll get some in the audience, would you stand up? It's what you guys do every day in and out. I have the privilege of seeing how the employees care and they go above and beyond, and this award is a recognition of that. But Mark, would you share a few words?
Well, thank you, and thank you for letting me, I guess, be the spokesperson for it. Really is a team effort. As you mentioned, multiple departments are involved in this, and I've had the privilege of working in a number of places and working with some great people, but I just can't say enough about the quality and the professionalism and the commitment of the entire team here. It's a privilege to come to work here every day. And in terms of this award, thinking about that, the city's been blessed to receive a number of awards over the years, some of them at a national level. The fact that this one is based on the voice of the people, the citizens of this community, to me, that we couldn't get a better award, a more important award, because we every day think about who we're serving, and this is an indication that they see what we're doing and they appreciate what we're doing, and so I'm very, very humbled and very honored to even be associated with this. So thank you very much.
And I just want to give a special thanks to the City Council, because Mark shared with me many times the functional relationship of the elected officials to the staff actually gives department heads confidence in what they're doing, because they know they're not going to get caught up in a political fight when something comes forward. They can make professional recommendations and know that the electeds are listening to the professional opinions. We may change their opinions, we may ask questions that'll change some things, but they know it's a professional dialogue and not a political type conversation. So a big thank you to the electeds as well. It's your support that allowed this to happen. The other one, Nancy Hypes, do you want to come up? We've given this one before. It's the CAFR Award. Sorry about that. The CAFR Award is directly to the Finance Department. It's under Nancy's leadership. CAFR is the Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting, and it comes from the Government Finance Officers Association, which is an association of the United States and Canada. This is the 8th year we've received this, but don't take that for granted. What we have to do is our annual audit. Every city has to do the annual audit, but that's about the only obligation. We actually go above and beyond and prepare another piece of the annual audit, which is the CAFR report, and you all get that, and it's on our website, and the public can see it. And the CAFR report is all about transparency of information and presenting a readable report, getting the right information out there so people truly understand what's occurring. And it's called, CAFR is the Comprehensive Annual Financial Report, which is, again, voluntary, above and beyond the external audit. And we've done that for 8 years. Just the fact that you do the CAFR, though, does not mean you get the award. It actually then goes to a review board at a national level, and it's kind of a peer review of the report. And then a small subset of those are actually recognized with the award. And we have received that award 8 years in a row. So Nancy, a direct thank you to you and your team. People talk about transparency of government. It exists here, and so thank you very much for that. You want to share a few words?
I just would like to thank my staff, and in particular Sally Jones. She does a large portion of the back to statistical schedules. Unfortunately, she wasn't able to be here tonight, and also the support from those above me to allow our department the time necessary to complete this task. Thanks.
Thank you again. Ms. Myers, Administrator's report, please.
Thank you, Mayor. A couple exciting things to report tonight. First of all, I wanted to let you know that Stan Tech has begun the field work associated with the paving assessment. If you recall, we talked about that and you approved that in an earlier budget. It will take them about 2 weeks to complete that pavement assessment, and then following that, of course, will be the report that we will convene on and discuss. Also of significant news is that we received notice today that the State of Nebraska Department of Natural Resources has approved our application for a permit to withdraw and transport groundwater for city use. We'd been working on this permit with actually Thompson, Dreesen, and Dorner for some time. But anyway, this permit preserves the city's right of water transfer for up to 36 million gallons per day. So again, a big accomplishment. Thank you to Jeff and his team. And then other exciting news, of course, is Papillion Landing Fieldhouse. It opened on November 1st with the first soccer practice that evening, a success. Each of you will receive an invitation for a sneak peek event scheduled for November 16th, beginning at 5 o'clock. And again, Kendra will send you out more information. Additionally, I wanted to talk about the public events that are scheduled. And the first one is Friday Night Lights on November 16th from 6 to 10 p.m. There'll be games and a movie. The next public event is Pump It Up on November 30th from 6 to 10 p.m. And again, there'll be blow-up games for the family. And the last one is Reindeer Games on December 14th from 6 to 10 p.m. And again, it'll be Christmas-themed music and games and a movie. So the public is invited to attend each of those events, so I encourage you to come and join in on the fun. Additionally, I wanted to report to you that Tom James with the golf course has submitted his resignation, his retirement, I guess, at the end of this year. Tom has worked for the city in the golf department for over 33 years. So certainly want to thank him for his dedicated service to the city. We're in the planning stages of a retirement celebration, but looks like it's being scheduled for Thursday, December 6th. From 3 to 7 p.m. at the Terra Hills Clubhouse, and we'll finalize the details and get those out to you. And lastly, I just want to echo Mayor Black's thanks and congratulations to the city employees responsible for the achievement of the Voice of the People Award and the Certificate of Excellence in Financial Planning. Again, just another example of the qualified and dedicated staff Papillion has. Thank you all.
Thank you very much. Next is the consent agenda. Do we have a motion to approve? Motion by Councilman Ingberg, second by Councilman Jaworski. Do we have any proponents? Do we have any opponents? Any council discussion? Please vote.
7 yeas, 0 nays.
Motion passes. I want to make a special note. One of the items on the consent agenda that was just approved was a reappointment of Dr. Jeff Strohmeyer. He was with us. Dr. Strohmeyer, thank you very much. The Public Health Board is what he was appointed to. He's been serving on it for quite a while. Thankfully, we never use the board, and you're never put to work, but it's critically important. If there would ever be like a pandemic or something in the city, it is the health board that would be in charge of managing that event. So Dr. Strohmeyer, thank you for your service to the community. And I know you do a lot of other things in the community as well. So thank you very much for volunteering for that position. Next is items for second reading. Item E1, Ordinance 1824, an ordinance to amend the 2018-2019 budget. This is a public hearing, and I'll open the public hearing. Do we have any proponents? Do we have any opponents? Close the public hearing. This is a very short council meeting. We don't have any other regular agenda items. We do have one committee that met, Public Facilities Committee. Any report?
Yes, we met and was talking about a small park in Hunter's Crossing, working to get a name based off of citizens' information. We did reach a name, and it will be coming forward on the next agenda is our hopes.
Thank you very much. Any comments from the floor? Seeing no comments. Any council comments? Mr. Mumgard.
Yeah, I just want to commend the Downtown Business Association for their latest, try to get this right, Spook and Sip, which was their event here the last week. Halloween themed, where they sold over about 500 tickets. Anybody that had a chance to be in downtown Papillion that night would have been flabbergasted. The street was crawling with people in costume. They had a costume contest. I think they had 10 different businesses that participated. There was hundreds of people in downtown Papillion having a party. And I think it was extremely well organized. Don't think there were any problems. And I look forward to the next one they have. I commend them for it.
Thank you very much for that. Ms. Klug.
Thank you. I just wanted to make a special thank you to Chris and Chief Lyons. They've been working very diligently with the schools, making sure that we're getting more and more information in parents' hands with regards to what's going on in the community, especially with what's going on with drugs and things like that that potentially could be in our high schools. Sometimes the path is easy, sometimes it's a little hard, and I just really wanted to point out Chris and Chief Lyons for doing an excellent job. They just did a Facebook presentation. One of our officers, both of our officers did, excuse me, and it was really good. So just thank you for all your hard work. It is paying off.
Thank you very much. Mr. Jaworski.
I don't know if I talked about this last time, but everybody give a shout out to all the guys that were working down at the dump for us to get rid of all our trash. That was a well-organized machine down there. It was nice to see that, and there was a lot of stuff down there. That's a great thing the city does.
Thank you for pointing that out, and everybody should have seen at their desk. We actually got an item. We get a lot of people calling and thanking, but very specifically some people entered some compliments into the mayor's hotline, and there's one at your table, so make sure you read that as well. So thank you for pointing that out. Any other council comments? Just a couple things from the last couple of weeks. The Papillion La Vista Schools Foundation had their annual gala. A number of us attended that. The Personnel Committee, the Employee Personnel Committee, they actually have an annual event that's a chili luncheon and a costume contest, and it's some employee recognition. Councilman Florence, Councilman Mumgard, and some others were there, so thank you for that. And Ms. Myers and I also attended the United Cities meeting, and the legislature comes into session in January, so if there's legislation being proposed, now is kind of the final point to be point in time to start putting those thoughts together and getting legislation drafted. So if there is something you want us to either be watching, something you want us to influence, or some specific legislation we should be thinking about, let us know, and we can get working on that. And on that note, with the election last night, we do have a new state senator in this area, and we're working right now to already reach out and start building that relationship. So we have a good relationship state level. John Arch replacing Jim Smith. And so we're working on educating him on the city's needs and what's important to cities, so when he's up at the legislature making decisions that we don't get forgotten and we can actually have some influence down there. I think that's most of what the last couple of weeks. We do have a closed session. For the benefit of those watching, and I know we've got some scouts in the group, just want to explain this closed session real quick because we don't do them very often. I always mention everything the council does when we make a decision has to be out in the public so people can see what we're doing, they can see what we're discussing, and decisions are made out in the public. However, state law does provide 2 or 3 times that we can go behind closed doors as a council and discuss something. One is if it's a personnel issue. Obviously, if you're talking about somebody, you don't want to necessarily talk about it in the public. You want to talk about an issue and then come out and make a decision because you want to protect that person's integrity. The other one is if we're in negotiations, for example, land negotiations, and obviously if we're negotiating on a point of what do we want to sell land or how much, we don't want to do it in public because the other side now knows what you're doing. So we can go behind closed doors and have that kind of discussion. No votes are taken behind closed doors. Any votes we take are out in the public, but we can go back for negotiation and strategy, and that's what we're doing tonight. So with that, is there a motion to go into closed session to protect the public interest to discuss land negotiations? Motion by Councilwoman Klug. Second by Councilman Stubbe. Do we have any proponents? Do we have any opponents? Any council discussion? Please vote.
7 yeas, 0 nays.
I will state for the record the purpose of the closed session is only to discuss land negotiations. The closed session will include the mayor, the city council, city administrator, assistant city administrator, the city clerk, and the planning director.